Hey friends, we're off here again with the Louisville ProActivist report. Thanks for tuning in. Just go ahead and share this out. We're here during campaign season, and I'm in Emerson Park today. I have a great candidate on the show. So let's get started. I want to introduce my guest here. Let me flip that camera real quick. Or not so quick with the 20 button presses that it makes me do. Yeah, all those buttons just to do this. There we go.
Hi.
My guest today is Jennifer Chappell, and she is running for Metro Council in District 15. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Get you centered a little better. All right, perfect. So District 15, can you just kind of tell us what neighborhoods are in District 15?
Sure, I'll start north. So it goes a little sliver of Germantown, so where St. Michael's Cemetery is, all the way through Schnitzelburg, St. Joseph, University of Louisville, so University neighborhood, all of the stadiums, the entire campus. And then you go on to Lucky Horseshoe, Taylorberry, a little bit of Wilder Park, Hazelwood, Jacobs, Cloverleaf, and Iroquois Park. So it goes pretty far south. Wears a little belt at Central, so kind of takes an L. It's very tight at Central, but it's a great district. I usually tell people that if you've partied in Louisville, you've probably partied in District 15, whether it be Churchill Downs or at a U of L game of some sort, or maybe even the Speed Art Museum, or an event at Iroquois Park. And of course, there's Schnitzelburg, and I'm sure that you all know about our watering holes.
And before we get into everything, just kind of District 15, it's one of the crazier looking districts I've looked at. The shape of it, if anybody's seen it on a map, is just really wild and hard to imagine somebody came up with that. But you have a wide variety of neighborhoods in your district, and a wide variety of voters, different political ideologies and stuff. So, if you win this, kind of how do you deal with something like that? Because representing one neighborhood might go against what another neighborhood might prefer. It's a rough district. So kind of what are your thoughts on that? How do you represent everybody in your district?
I think as cheesy as it sounds, at the end of the day, we're all Louisvillians, and I think that that's a unifying factor. When I was knocking on doors, and I walked every street in the district, and I knocked on some 7,000 doors in 5 months, actually less than 5 months, but I know it pretty intimately, and I feel like I can explain a lot of ways in which we're a lot more similar than we are different. I think that we're all a community of neighborhoods. I see a lot of beautiful things about those neighborhoods happening in them, a lot of cultural identity, a lot of beautiful things happening amongst community organizations and neighborhood associations. And I think a lot of the needs across District 15 are the same things that everyone was saying. Speed humps, more walkable streets. They want to be safe. They want to see investment in their neighborhoods. And I think that among our resource concerns, those things are pretty universal.
All right. And so what makes you want to run for Metro Council?
I have wanted to be on Metro Council for a long time. I'm not a career politician, but I am somebody that I've always been passionate about community building. And to me, Metro Council is that place that I can do that. While I've been running, people keep saying, what's next? What are you going to do next? But to me, the pinnacle of everything has been to Metro Council, because that's where I see me making the most impact in our communities. Not to say that, policymakers don't have, at our state level, don't have a great impact on our communities as well. But I'm really passionate about getting in the streets and putting in work myself. I hope that people will see over the next 4 years, I'm going to be putting in a lot of sweat equity next to you all as well. But also, I'm a Louisvillian. I don't think that is I'm a lifelong Louisvillian. I don't think that that's necessarily advantageous or a prerequisite for me to run. But I do believe that I'm super passionate about Louisville, and I love it so much. And I always tell people that you criticize because you care. And right now I'm really critical of Louisville and where it is. And I know that our city can be better. And as somebody that loves it and the people in it deeply, I'm looking to do just that and make it better.
All right. So anybody that's watched me before knows I am very policy centric, and we're going to dive into all of that here in just in a moment. But before we do that, let's tell the viewers a little bit about yourself. Just kind of let people know a little bit about your non-political background, just kind of who you are and what your ties are to Louisville and the district specifically.
Sure. I always say I'm not very nomadic. I've lived 3 places in my life. Over in District 10 in a place called Audubon Ridge, right next to Audubon Park. Moved downtown on Chestnut Street for a while, and then I bought my house in Schnitzelburg. And I've been here for 12 and a half years, and I absolutely love it. But I started my public service, I guess, in at the Schnitzelburg Area Community Council, where I currently serve as president. I also got involved with the Center for Neighborhoods. I saw a lot of the things that I was passionate about in terms of community building, and at the time they had a Green Institute, so they were working a lot with sustainability. So I felt those intersections really deeply with that organization, which led me to running for the Jefferson County Soil and Water Conservation District. So I'm one of 7 elected officials that serve as a conservation district supervisor, and I am in my 2nd term. It is a nonpartisan position, but it's a really great organization. Every county in the United States has a conservation district, and I think it's an injustice how many people don't know about conservation districts and the incredible work that they do. So I won't go on that soapbox, so I'll leave you guys to do your own research. Please reach out if you have any questions. But I've always been passionate about I feel like I keep saying community building, but I guess that's kind of a cornerstone of my personality. And so that kind of led me to running, and here I am now. Professionally, I work in tech, marketing, advertising. I'm a strategist for marketing campaigns, so I really enjoy putting on my marketing hat from time to time.
All right. So again, I'm here in Emerson Park today talking with Jennifer Chappell, who is running for Metro Council in District 15. Share this out. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments. If we have some time left over at the end, we'll address those questions. So let's kind of just dig into, let this guy ride by real quick.
Jealous of his breeze.
Right? It's a hot one out here, but thankfully we are a little bit shaded. And just to say, I've got Jennifer's website down in the description. Also, you can see it scrolling at the bottom of your screen there if you want to learn more about Jennifer after this is over. So yeah, let's dig into it now and just kind of talk about your platform. And just looking at your website, it's very informative, well put together. There's a lot of stuff there. The first thing I saw is better safety. So can you talk about what you mean by better safety and what you have in mind for the city?
Sure. I think better safety, it's such a big umbrella, but I think that it is making sure that people feel safe at home, people feel safe in the streets, that people feel safe no matter where they are. People feel safe in letting their children play out in the streets. People feel safe leaving their personal property unattended. People feel safe sending their kids to school. People feel safe driving a car or getting on the bus. I think that safety to me is building a good built environment that can help facilitate a better lifestyle for people. But then safety also has this component of crime happens with a criminal. So how do we help create a system that is not only preventing crime, but also creating a good way to handle it when it does happen?
All right. And safety is a big issue right now for people. So many homicides in the city right now. We were talking off camera earlier, I hear gunshots in my neighborhood weekly, if not more than once. So there's a lot of work there. How do you think Metro Council can step in and kind of make things better for people?
Goodness. These are big questions. Do you want to know about how I feel about kind of LMPD or
just, if you feel like they're part of the solution or if you think they're other solutions, just kind of how do you view it? What's the best way forward to reduce these crime numbers?
I think that a lot of crime happens when people feel a lot of animosity. And so we have to address what are those factors that are creating animosities and reasons why people are being violent or committing crimes. I think that under this umbrella, you have a lot of things like our drug epidemic that's happening. How do we address that? How do we make sure that we're teaching our children emotional development and coping mechanisms that help them resolve conflict in a more effective manner? How do we help our homeless population? How do we help those who um, are living paycheck to paycheck and need help? I think that there's so many things in there that we could dissect.
It's a big topic.
It is a big topic.
Big
I'm sorry. That's yeah. I'm here for all. I said heavy hitters, but these are meaty.
So let's talk about infrastructure in the city. Just what do you see as the issues in infrastructure we have? What do what would you like to see done in the city with infrastructure?
Yeah, I think our infrastructure is definitely lacking. I come from a place where I've spent a lot of time as a community organizer. I've attended a lot of charrettes and design meetings and planning meetings and meetings. And I feel like so much time is spent in Louisville investing in planning and it never goes anywhere. And by the time that anything could happen with a plan, that plan's already outdated and organic change has already happened in that neighborhood or community or corridor, whether it's positive or negative. So we have to address that. We have to also we have to build up our built environment, but we also have to see one of the interviews that I did, a developer said Louisville is one of the hardest places to develop in. And and he said, what can you do to help with that? And I said, I don't know why that is. I've never developed anything. You're going to have to tell me. So I would like to understand what red tape is kind of holding projects hostage in Louisville. And then also how we can spur development positively in our communities. But I think that I'd also love to see just changes in our built environment. I don't think that there's enough investment made in just maintaining sidewalks, making sure we have crosswalks, making sure that traffic signs are up to date and that we have traffic lights are functioning, the way that our streets are working. Do we have good public transit infrastructure? All of those things are really lacking. And so while I do want to sit here and make plans for that, I am also ready to see action in it in a lot of ways. I mean, a basic infrastructure thing that I deal with right now is just trash cans in communities. Why is it so hard for us to get trash cans in Louisville? We complain about Louisville, yeah, we don't want to present a solution to it. So that's, a kind of micro infrastructure investment, but one that I think that could make a huge impact. So in infrastructure, we're talking about, what are the micro ways that we can invest in a neighborhood? Benches, crosswalks, street lights, park improvements, all of those things. But then also, how can we spur development in a positive way that creates density and commercial corridors, affordable housing, and then those things in turn create more development. So investment in our communities, in our infrastructure. But I guess the age-old question is always, where do we get the money for that? And so I'm hoping that we can look in ways that we've maybe pockets of money that have been saved up or earmarked for projects that aren't getting utilized, that we can finally put some wheels in motion on those. Or maybe some things aren't worth investing in anymore and we kind of have to redirect efforts. I'm all about trimming some fat on some budgets. And I don't mean that to sound like I'm going to come down with the hammer on a lot of people or organizations or businesses, but I really want to make sure that we're making the biggest impact in what what resources we have to make that impact with.
And the biggest bang for your buck, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Before we move on from infrastructure, anybody that knows me knows this question is kind of coming, but when I look at infrastructure, my big thing is municipal broadband, net neutrality. just in case anybody's watching doesn't know what that is, that's basically city-owned internet that would come with net neutrality built in to make an even playing field for all digitally. I'm not going to go into that real big right here. But as far as municipal broadband goes, is that something you would look into and support, or how do you feel?
It's definitely something that I would look into. Like we were talking earlier, from a perspective of net neutrality and everyone being able to access the internet at an affordable rate, but then also having that as an attractant to young professionals that want to seek out a place to live and hopefully grow and invest. So I would definitely look into that. But then also we were talking, it goes back to that money problem. So I don't know how much that would cost in order to make that a Louisville Metro run program, and I also don't know where it would fall on the priority list in terms of all of the issues that we're kind of facing as a city right now. But I think that it would be something worth looking into and eventually investing in.
Well, when you win, we can sit down and have a meeting about
course.
it, and I can go into depth about it, which we don't have time for today. But you know, like I say, anybody knows me knows I'm going to talk about it. So that
Thanks for your
said,
education on it earlier.
oh no problem. So let's move on to something that I think, just based on your background, is something that's very important to you, and that's environmental conservation. I mean, I can't speak for you, but to me, it kind of looks like that might be the bedrock of kind of your priorities, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong. So kind of what are your thoughts on environmental conservation? What does the city need, you know, and how do we get it?
Yeah, the earth was here before us and will be here long after us. But I think that in our time here, we need to be good stewards of it. So I would say that that's definitely not only a pillar of my campaign, but a pillar of myself, to promote our natural environment and sustainability. And how does that work in our communities? I think that in an urban sense, that we can sometimes feel such a disconnect from green spaces. Our public parks, we don't have enough of them. We don't have enough green spaces. We don't have enough places for people to access nature. And that means all people, not just those that can afford to go to a park. I think that we need to be investing in those green spaces, and also learning to work with our environment, because once we're able to work with the environment, it can work for us. You know, we can't really help that a neighborhood like Oakdale, aka Wyandotte, was built in a watershed. We're all in a watershed, but they're very prone to flooding, and we can't move all of those people, but we can look at ways that we can use our natural environment to enhance our quality of life, whether that's you know, coming up with storm water remediation ways, like planting trees, creating pervious uh, grounds, making sure that we have rain gardens, that we have better water catchment, that maybe we have basins that are working for us, that are responsibly built. I can talk about the one that went in Smoketown for a long time. We can talk about that later. But I think that we need to be investing in our natural spaces. And I think that we can, you know, I don't want to say that we're doing it to attract tourism, because so much of Louisville has been focused on urbanism that we're trying to attract people here while we're not serving the people that are already here. And so I want to be able to one day take a kayak and launch it into Beargrass Creek right over behind Logan Street Market. Wouldn't that be really neat?
Cool.
Yeah, making sure that we have more accessible trails in Iroquois Park, making sure that there's there's stables back there, making sure that we have an equestrian program that kids can take part of, making sure that there's places and ways that we can connect with our natural environment, but again, making sure it's working for us.
And you know, if elected, would you urge the council to kind of work more with some of the groups that are working on? I mean, there's several, but you know, people like Kentucky Waterways Alliance, Sierra Club, so on and so forth. Do you think that would be beneficial for the council to work with them, or how do you see you know, the process?
Absolutely. We don't want to reinvent any wheels. And I'm not in favor of creating another organization to do what another organization is already doing. So supporting them and not trying to steal anyone's thunder, I think would be really important. But I think that, yeah, we need to work with a lot of organizations. There's something else I was going to say, but it escapes me. What was the beginning? What was the first part of the question?
Just, if the council should work more with these groups, like Kentucky Waterways Alliance and so on, or just, how you would see going about it.
Yeah, I guess where my mind was going at the beginning of that question was also, how does Metro Council be a better environmental advocate? And I think that is also a conversation about zoning and what we allow for in our code enforcement. So planning and design, code enforcement, and making sure that we have standards, we have responsible development, and that we're not only saying this is what goes here and what you need to have, but then following up about it, making sure that they do have their quota of green space on a property, making sure that they're not creating a brown field, making sure, we're not really holding people accountable. We're just kind of, or businesses accountable. We're just kind of letting them be on their own, but we need to make sure that we have good codes and regulations in order to enforce a greener infrastructure.
All right. Before we move on, I would be remiss if I didn't mention amongst the group Sparegrass Thunder. I have to do it as my friends there, Jody, Mariah, and the group. Shout out to them. And Metro
awesome.
Council should definitely be working with Sparegrass Thunder. They're amazing.
I don't think they ever hear from Jody.
I think they probably think about Jody when they go home at night. Would be my guess. He's doing a great job. All right, let's see. Okay, yeah. So you talk a lot about better support for families in the district and the city. So what do you mean by that?
I'm a big advocate for women's rights and families. And I believe that in supporting our families, we need to be supporting our women and making sure that they are taken care of, whether they choose to have children or not. And then if they do choose to have children, that they're taken care of through pregnancy and beyond. So I'm a big advocate for maternity leave and paternity leave. I'm very passionate about making sure that we understand that it's not all a woman's responsibility to carry the burden of bearing a child. But I want to see a lot more investment in early childhood education, making sure that our children have places to go and participate in after-school activities, extracurricular activities, things that will help enhance their social skills and also their emotional development. And I think that a lot of the things that we see later on in life, by making an investment in our children early on, we can really see, maybe our crime numbers start to taper off, or maybe depression, maybe I don't know, when we enable our children, we're unlocking the world. So I just really want to see better support for women and children and families. Step up that.
Okay, where do you see the Metro Council falling with that?
Well, I think that right now, two big advocates for families, Nicole George, and is no longer going to be on the seat, and I'm not sure if Cassie will continue on, but
Armstrong.
Chambers Armstrong, Councilwoman Chambers Armstrong. I think she's wonderful. I really hope she does. But I don't want all of the voices on Metro Council to be either those that aren't women or those that don't share my values in building up families. So I'm really hoping to be that voice, but prioritizing universal pre-K would be a big thing. I love that the city, so all Louisville Metro employees have maternity and paternity leave. I'd love to see that in the private sector. but you know, that's nothing that Louisville Metro has control over. But then also investing in those organizations that are already doing really amazing things. One of my good friends leads an organization called I Would Rather Be Reading. And so creating after school programs and helping children with their literacy skills. And then by doing that, you're helping them in so many other ways. So investing in programs like that, like Youth Build Louisville, I love so much of what they're doing and how much they're opening for people from a, I think, trades perspective. I really don't believe that higher education is where the path that people need to choose, especially when you're 18. I can't believe somebody said, what do you want to do with your life? With the rest of your life, and I was 18 years old, you know, like I was concerned on like, you know, where's the party at this weekend? So I really think that we don't need to be pushing that and encouraging people, our young people, to be explorative in their desires, in their passions, and what they want to do, and not putting them into a box and expecting them to stay there for the rest of their life.
All right.
Sorry, these are, like I said, these are big questions, and I feel like every time I go on one, I'm like, I could talk about solar energy, trade schools, you know, like.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Say everything you need to say, you know. Do see a couple questions already. If anybody else has any questions, drop them in the chat. We'll get to those here in just a moment. Got one more thing on your website that I was curious about, and you mentioned better community resources. So can you be a little bit more specific on that?
Sure. A big part of my campaign and who I am is just communication. So I really want my office to be able to connect people with community resources, and whether that's programs that are already there, programs that need better processes, programs that need more investment, but making sure that people know that there are resources for them that are available. And then also, a big thing, and I think that it's just talking about civic engagement, making sure that people are also connected and that they feel like they have buy-in and a seat at the table. So I really want to make sure one of the things that I'm going to do is a community advisory board, which should be a no-brainer for every single Metro Council district, but every single neighborhood, I want them to nominate one person. They don't have to serve on the board. They don't have to be anybody in particular, but I just want to have a roundtable discussion, what's going on in our communities, and understanding that. So then when we figure out how we can leverage everything that we're working on, you know, together. You want trash cans? Well, they just got trash cans. Let's talk about how they did that, or how they fundraised for a speed hump, or how they made this festival happen, which funded that. So making sure that we all are connected and having a conversation, because this is not Jennifer Chappell's office. This is the District 15 office, and I'm here merely to help facilitate.
So say the election's tomorrow, you win. Day after tomorrow, you walk in your office. What's your top priority, or what's the first thing that you would work on? We can let this pass over real quick.
Yeah.
It's kind of loud.
I need a plane to fly by when you're asking me a question that I don't know the answer to, so I can like really milk it. My answer to this actually won't be very glamorous. I really want to go in and I just want to organize. I want to dissect everything that's in the Metro Council office and understand what are the priorities, what are the projects that are underway, what are the projects that have been stalled, what kind of money are we dealing with, you know, what can I do off the bat. I don't want to say I'm going in guns a-blazing, but I do know that I am going to be the freshman and that I'm going to have to figure it out, but I am excited to really take this Metro Council office to that next level. So stay tuned.
All right.
I mean, like shuffling papers around an office, I know like wasn't like, I'm sure that you're like, I'm going to change the city of Louisville. But I'm probably just going to like dust some surfaces and, you know, figure out what the street paving list is.
Okay, it's all important.
Yeah.
So that's actually all the questions I had. Drop your questions in the chat. We're going to answer a couple here. Melanie has 2 questions for you, so we'll go with the first one here. She asks, how can neighborhood associations have more say in community programming if the city council controls the leases on our community center buildings?
I wish that there was a specific community center, and I'm almost wondering, I don't know if this is what we're talking about, but our community centers, I'll use two, for example. The one in Shelby Park, that's the old Carnegie Library.
It's actually the one I think she's getting at. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Okay. I was gonna say it's either that or the one at the Salvation Army at Wyandotte Park, and I'll also talk about that. And I'll be quick. But we don't have investment in that building. It's such a beautiful space. It's falling apart, but we don't have somebody there to manage that building all the time, not just from a maintenance standpoint, but also to manage activities. And I would really love to see more investment made in staffing these places and making sure that they're working for our communities. So you can go there anytime. I know that a while ago, Shelby Park Neighborhood Association tried to open a library, and a lot of people donated books. But, you know, to have a community supported little library that was in an old library, which is kind of meta. But to do that, and then over here you've got yoga, over here you've got a canning class, but making sure that we have community centers that are facilitating community. I will be very honest, I'm an atheist and I don't believe in God, but I do love the places of community that churches build, and I would love to see that more on you know, on a community level that was open to people sans a religious standpoint. But the one over in, so my answer to that is more investment, also staffing. So cleaning that up and making sure we've got somebody there to make sure we've got good programming. At Wyandotte Park, there's actually a couple of facilities. They're leased to the Salvation Army, and that lease expires in 2028, which maybe I'll be in a second term, maybe I won't. I can't speak to that. But let me get started first. But I would love to see that contract terminated, because I think whoever, whether it's the city of Louisville or another community partner, could be better using that space as a place for, as an access point for residents. So that way you could go into Wyandotte Park, and again, maybe you're doing yoga, or it's a community grocery store, or if it was actually a Salvation Army that you could go in and shop at, you know, like something that had its doors open that was helping and serving the community.
All right. Two more questions as of right now. The second one from Melanie. She asked, would you propose and vote that our minimum wage increase for Metro employees? And if so, what would the hourly wage be? And we'll let him drive by real quick. All right.
I do believe in an increase. What that increase would be, I'm not really sure. A number in my head, $15 does not cut the cost of living. I think it would have to be more in the ballpark of at least 22. So this seems like a budget question, and I don't know if I want to get into the nitty gritty, but I would support an increase. And again, going back to that paid maternity and paternity leave that Louisville Metro offers, I would love to see that also kind of implemented in the same way.
Yeah, I'll just add an anecdote to that one real quick.
Yeah.
Because I actually used to work down at 6th and Jefferson. I worked in the attorney room as a county clerk. And at that time, and it's been a few years now, but you know, they were paying about $13 an hour, and they hadn't received raises in several years when I started. And they hadn't received one while I was there. And to my knowledge, and I might be wrong, I may have missed this, but I don't know that they've gotten a raise since then. And I will say those are some of the hardest working people I've seen. They put in the time and they work full time, and they make $13 an hour to keep everything together for the city. So they definitely deserve 22 or more an hour. Just wanted to add that real quick.
I think that a lot of things are, I mean, this is going to be controversial, but like Metro Council people make $47,000 a year. I'm so sorry. So a lot of your Metro Council people work other jobs in addition to, because it's, you know, not that attractive of a salary to somebody that's probably a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. I wish that I did have that salary as well. But I think that, you know, Metro Council people, if we really expect them to be public servants, we should hold them accountable with a salary that could support them. I'm not saying a six-figure salary, but a salary that was also adjusted to help make our Metro Council people be more focused on being a Metro Council person. And then also, like, legislative aides, wish they got paid more. They do so much. They actually make more typically than Metro Council people, and rightfully so. But people that are in our departments citywide, not only do they need a boost in their paycheck, but they also need more support from a co-working standpoint. I hear a lot of departments that are, I'm by myself. Why are you the head of blankety blank? You should be a whole department.
Right.
So I can only imagine how frazzled that person is, how many things are falling through the cracks, and how many of the people on the other end that are waiting to be served feel like they're not being served. So that would help.
All right. So I've got a question here from Sherry. Thank you both, Melanie and Sherry, for your questions. Sherry says, Louisville used to have a great animal rights chapter there, but hardly anyone wanted to become vegan. Do you intend to promote veganism?
No. If you're a vegan, that's great, wonderful. I hope that our dining scene is opening up to more options for you. I just went to Memphis with my friend who's a vegan, and meat was in everything. So it was a little hard to travel around the South with my friend who is a vegan. I would consider my diet 75% vegetarian. So I think that, again, while I respect anyone's choice in their dietary preference, I think that instead of asking people to be vegan, I think let's start with taking the bacon off of their cheeseburger and then maybe replacing that cheeseburger with a plant-based something. And then maybe, I don't think that people are going to go from one extreme to the next overnight, but I want people, if we can, meatless Mondays, if that's what we need to do to make an impact on eating less meat, then so be it. Oh, hey, little guy.
Just had a rabbit run right to the table here while we're speaking.
But I will give a plug, Louisville Vegan Jerky, who's right over here. They're great. They have a community benefits with Shelby Park Neighborhood Association. I think that that's a wonderful CBA and a great local business. So check them out if you haven't. I'm sure if you're vegan, you probably have.
All right. And you get elected. Another thing I might talk to you about, is, it's animal rights. I'm big into that, see what we can do for some issues, with more funding for Kentucky Humane Society and some other things. But yeah, so that was all the questions that I have here from the audience, all the questions I have. So at this point, I just kind of want to give you the camera, let people know, just kind of make your pitch to the voters why they should vote for you. And then when you're done, just let people know how to find you online, how they can donate, how they can volunteer, so on and so forth.
Sure. Well, I'm Jennifer Chappell. I'm running for Metro Council District 15. Had a lot of opposition in the primary, but I actually don't have any come November. I want to be transparent about that because I will be Metro Council person, so I'm Metro Councilwoman-elect, but I am still knocking on doors. I'm getting out there. I'm trying to go to as many events as possible, and I want to get to know you. So if you're a District 15 resident, please reach out, introduce yourself. If I show up on your door, please engage in a conversation, but also if you're not ready to, shoot me an email. But you can still, you can still, do you want me to go on about airplane noise?
No more airplanes during interviews. That's what I'm pushing for.
But you can still volunteer with my campaign. So if you want to get out there and door knock, I do still fundraise. Unfortunately, I have to keep some lights on for my campaign. So if you do feel so inclined to give me a little bit of money, I would appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But please share this video, share my social media, tell your friends about me. I know that sounds so conceited, but I'm really trying to build a better Louisville, and I really hope that you'll build it with me. I want to plug the district download that Louisville Metro Council does. And there's a really great episode on civic engagement that Ja'Cory Arthur does, and talking about ways in which people can be involved. Because again, this is not the Jennifer Chappell show. This is us making a better District 15. So I want you to work with me to make that District 15. And so I'm going to expect you to step up as well. So please engage with me in conversations, and let's see how we can move the needle forward. And thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you so much for being here, Jennifer. Again, you see her website scrolling at the bottom. It's also in the description, so give that a click here in a minute and check that out.
And I've got Facebook and Instagram.
Facebook, and just they can search your name and find you that way.
Jennifer from Metro Council is my handle, so facebook.com/Jennifer from Metro Council, and @Jennifer from Metro Council on Instagram. And it's all linked on my website as well.
All right. So, all right, thank you all so much. Make sure you're sharing this out. Boost those algorithms. I am a nonprofit, so I make no money off this, but you can help me by liking, sharing, commenting. That boosts the algorithm. That gets this out to more people. Anybody in District 15 that you think needs to see this, send this out to them so that they can be informed about Jennifer and the future Metro Council member. Quick programming note coming up. Thursday, 3 o'clock. I'm having on Rachel Rourke. She is running for Kentucky House in this District 38 in the South End there. Next Thursday, so a week from that, I have a big show, 5 guests at once, 5 judicial candidates, circuit court and district court. So look out for that. Really excited about that one. Also have a school board candidate coming up in October. We're going to set the date on that. And what else? I had an interview scheduled for last Friday with the city council member for Shelbyville. That I unfortunately had to reschedule that, so I will let you know when that's coming up. We're working on a date for that. So a lot of things coming up. I've reached out to a handful of other candidates. Hopefully they'll accept to come on, and if so, I'll be excited to bring that to you. But again, thanks for watching. I appreciate you all so much. So until next time, remember, always think critically.
Good job.